What's up?
Nice.
What is up?
I like that lounge dubstep intro.
That was compliments of Carl. He
Big up.
he gave that to us before he disappeared.
There we go.
It slams.
Yeah.
The lounge dubstep, though. It's a new genre.
Hell yeah. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Recovery Revolution Live. The special guest, DJ Kelly Reverb. What's up, brother?
How are you, man?
I'm great. Wonderful.
Well, thanks for having me on, guys. I appreciate it. I just it's funny. I'm finding out there's this whole other world outside of my little bubble.
Ain't that the truth, man?
Yeah.
And it's bigger and bigger than we ever knew.
Yeah.
Yeah. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I am DJ Kelly Reverb, and I am an RSPS, which is a recovery support peer specialist. I'm in Dallas, Texas. Big up, Cowboys! And then I also do a webcast on recovery as well, and it's called This Pink Cloud, and do it every week, and growing and meeting new friends. From the whole podcast world.
Awesome.
And then still just dropping beats and doing all the DJ stuff. I do EDM, and that is electronic dance music. And everybody, if you want to hear my stuff, you can check me out on SoundCloud, just under Kelly Reverb.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Tight. Maybe he can make us a fucking custom song for this.
Intro.
I'll drop an intro for sure.
Nice.
Dude, we were talking about that like a month ago. Like, we kind of on the live, we said, if anybody out there that watches this, like, is a professional musician, like, we'd love to have, if you would contact us, if you'd be willing to maybe like make us some original music, because we fumble around, especially with the closing shit. And we're trying to find something that like AG likes.
You don't like my rap that I play at the end?
I love it all, but I'm not picky. I just like music. But you were saying that they're kind of like generic, like beats or something like that you can use.
Right. I don't want the stream to get shut down for copyright infringement.
Right, so that's why we were talking about we got to get somebody to compose something.
It's funny because I actually use my own music on my podcast. So.
Hell yeah.
There you go.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, right?
Yeah, dude, that'd be dope. I wish I was like talented enough. I'd write something, but
I mean, I got this little funky I don't know what this thing's called. I could make us a song. It's like this.
Is that like from Star Wars? Is that like
I can't remember?
Is that like from the Cantina band?
Yeah, it's very similar to that. Yeah, but you can like.
What the H?
All right.
I mean, wow. I got
that's fun.
Yeah, I got the intro on lock, man.
Dude, that's sick. I don't even know why we were.
We don't. Yeah, I got this, man.
And it's front and center too, just in case. You need the timeout.
No, that was a whole thing too, man. I told him you need a stand for that so people can see it. It'll be more dramatic.
Yeah, because it used to be off screen, and then Jason was like, "It needs to be in frame." I'm like, okay,
gotcha.
It was a good idea, wasn't it?
It was.
I love it. When you go for it, I know it's coming. I'm like, there he goes.
I'm gonna have to start tuning in on the reg now that I know about it. So
we definitely have some quirky things we do. We got some different stuff we throw in there. Some throwbacks.
Right. Well, so how long is the show, by the way? Is it an hour?
Or however
long we feel like going?
It's not really a set length.
Okay. Cool. I didn't know if we needed to stretch it for content or get it all in there.
Cram it in.
Yeah, right. Start repeating stories.
We've varied,
Right.
Some of them are a little shorter. Some of them are freaking like what was the 2.5 hours. And
Yeah,
I'm
shit.
gonna-
2.5 is the record.
I think we need to just each one of us break each other down and get a Oprah moment out of each of us.
Yes. I don't know what that looks like.
Yeah, right.
You'll have to guide it.
All three hosts crying.
That might happen. Is this for recovery?
Yeah, right.
It is. We're warming up.
Sorry, we're retarded. Anyway, so Kelly, man, what's your story, dude? Like, how did you end up getting involved with recovery? What took you there?
Basically, it was I was a DJ, so that has what I call occupational hazards. Like people maybe expect you to drink and also give you free alcohol. That is one of the perks of the job. And I started DJing back in, get this, 1988. And I was like 17, 18, drinking for free. Life was good. And so I basically kind of did that and actually started producing some music. Actually got pretty well known with that. And then started traveling and, to where I'm flying first class and, on the plane with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar sitting next to me.
Wow.
And stuff like that. So it was definitely, like I said on Brett's show, is alcohol for me was the ultimate slow play. As far as nickel and diamond, it wasn't a problem until it was a problem. I also had really bad anxiety attacks when I would fly. So of course I found my solution with alcohol. And then of course the drinker's companion, which is also called nose beers. Which is
sugar.
The old cocaina.
Booger sugar.
Yeah. And then I'm trying to start the nose beers. That's going to be the new term.
Yeah, I never heard that before, but I think I'll use it. I'll use it with my friends.
Feel free.
I'll let people know where it came from too, man.
Yeah, that's a new one.
But so just kind of a tandem of all those kind of extracurricular things you would think a DJ would do, but really the one that got me and the main thing was the alcohol, where it became habitual every day for an extended amount of time, and just couldn't stop it on my own, So
right. Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah.
So how did you end up finding hope? Like, what made you think that you could stop?
Well, I went to I did the 12-step route, and certain things of it worked, certain things didn't. But eventually I went to just rehab and did the old 30 days of sobriety there. And then I got out. Well, actually, when I went in, just so everybody knows how bad it was, I was full on diabetic, and I was about 230. Which is about 30 pounds heavier than I am now. So I was full on diabetic and went in, and just in the 30 days of not drinking, I got to wean off of insulin and then eventually get off metformin and all the other fun stuff that goes with diabetes. But it was, I had that little bit of window of clarity as well. And I had it, and I was like, I was going to go in and just pump the brakes. But then while I was there, I heard too many cautionary tales. And I was like, well, why not just rock the sober thing for a while and see where it takes us? And now I'm 2 years and some change.
Nice.
So, I can't, it's like, I always do the pros and cons list. And I tell that to people out there. that are trying to get sober or have somebody in their family that maybe wants to get sober, is just do a pros and cons list and see what outweighs what. And I guarantee you, it's gonna be a one-sided thing. It's gonna be, I like to get fucked up. By the way, I don't know if we can cuss.
Yes, you
I just
can.
did.
Do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that's true. At least hopefully it's true. I think it would be a matter of perspective, right? Like, I mean, depending on a person's perception of their situation in life, they may be like, well, if life sucks this bad, then I would rather be high or drunk, but I mean, at the same time, if you've had a little bit of time to clear the fog and get that buffer space where you can start to look at things with a clear mind, and that's cool that you were clearly broken to some extent if you were humble enough to actually like consider the possibility that maybe these people you're listening to were onto something,
right? Yeah,
and follow some suggestions.
Maybe
instead
this is
of
a little ghost of Christmas future here,
Yeah, because like with me, it was like, nah, I'd always think that it wouldn't happen to me, or I'm smarter, faster, better, stronger.
Of course.
I'm not that bad.
Right.
Yeah. I did the compare game a lot. Like, look at these people. I'm not as bad as them.
All right. I'm not homeless yet, or something like that. But I was definitely bridge shopping, if you will.
Yeah.
I was to that point, and because obviously we don't want to be told what to do, because nobody likes that, right?
Right.
And then, but I am glad that I just took it day by day. After I got out, I found my tribe and stuck with them, and then also have some built-in accountability with the podcast and all that good stuff.
That's huge. Yeah. Honestly, I will say that. I mean, but it's funny too, because like for me, I think our listening audience, like our regular listening audience, there's a few of them that I connected with, and then it was like I personally knew the people I was accountable to, but like the people I was tight with weren't listening to the show, so
right, the people that needed it weren't listening.
Right, but I knew that people were listening, and that meant something to me. And then I think too, like with our show, we used to do topic episodes, and when we would do those, we would have a segment where we would play voicemails that our listening audience could just call this voicemail line and talk about their experience with the topic, right? So then we had a segment at the end of the show where we would play these voicemails, and you get a lot of recurring callers, the same people calling in, and always with these amazing things to say. And you really start to feel like you're like getting to know them personally. But dude, it was extremely helpful for me, even before starting to podcast, just finding the power of accountability. But that's like takes it to another level, man, when especially if you're trying to connect with your audience, like you don't want to let them down,
Sure. And I always like to say never, but it's just that pros and cons thing just works for me, man. And I can't. I really haven't come up with maybe two pros that I enjoy getting fucked up, and then it makes me comfortable at that time. Right. And that's about the only pros I got. Makes me comfortable in my own skin, which I love challenging myself now and feeling the discomfort and being awkward without it. Awkwardly sober.
Hell yeah. Yeah. Because the more you do that, then the more comfortable it becomes.
Sure.
The less awkward it will be over time.
That's true. Well, and in my profession, being a DJ, it's tough because you're used to doing that pregame, the tailgate party, and then of course you tailgate during the event as well. But it was really tough for me to fight that urge because I'm like I've got the devil and the angel going, oh, you can have just one, Kelly, and then, then
Yeah.
But like I said, that cautionary tale that I've heard so many times is really what the inspiration is for me to keep going and to keep staying sober and to not relapse.
Yeah. Yeah. So maybe you could tell us a little bit more about that moment of you getting to the place where you were ready to go to rehab and the events that led up to that, because obviously if our life is going well and things are smooth and we're doing, we're crushing it, like we're not looking to go to rehab. So obviously there were some things going on in your life that led to that moment where it's like, I probably need to go to rehab.
Right. Well, there was obviously the constant prodding from my wife, like, and I so many times I would just say, no, I've got it and I can dial it back. I can do this myself. I've got it, completely under control, like we all think we do. And then there was just that one window where I said, okay, I'll go, but you have to set it up and all of this stuff. But I mean, it got to be where, I mean, okay, so first off, blacking out at DJ gigs, that started to happen semi regularly, which most people would use that as maybe see that as a problem. Of course, I didn't. And then just God, I like other things. Like I had sleep apnea, so I would wake up in the middle of the night, uh, basically like I was aspirating, and I would just be at a level 10 anxiety attack.
Hmm.
And I didn't realize that alcohol, it would fix your anxiety, but just for so long until you needed more, until you needed another fix, so to speak. But so it was blacking out, and my wife was worried about my health, as far as is she going to come home and find dead Kelly?
Yeah. Yeah. And
So
one of the analogies that I've heard for alcohol, and it makes so much sense, is comparing it to a credit card. Like you can use it temporarily, like you can get that instant gratification, you can get that thing that you want, but eventually that bill comes up and you got to pay that money back plus the interest. And alcohol's the same way. Like it'll temporarily take that pain away or that anxiety or whatever it is that we're trying to escape, but eventually we're going to sober up, and then we have to deal with whatever it was that we were trying to escape from, plus additional compounded, whatever we might have done when we were drunk or
sure.
high. We got to deal with all those consequences and the repercussions.
Well, I was lucky to not have any DUIs or anything like that. So I was very fortunate, but they also invented Uber. So
Mm, mm,
so that was a good thing. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely it was a scary place to feel like you might choke, like you were drowning and you might die at that point. So my only thing to do was to take a little benzodiazepine and chase it with a water bottle, much like this, full of vodka, and just and then and then eventually calm down and be blacked out for 14 hours.
mm, mm.
Yeah.
That's wild, man.
So that's basically why I went to rehab, because not just the diabetes. I mean, it was compounded, and it was no way to live. It was no way to do the bottle shuffle. I'm sure we're all alcoholics are well aware of the bottle shuffle. You got to keep you got to keep the supply coming in, and then you got to dispose of the soldiers when they're done, and it becomes a job, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, and trying to make it appear like you still have the same amount, or
Oh
you're not
yeah.
drinking as much as
Oh,
you
oh,
are, so you
and
got to
then
get the same
and then,
stuff
and
and
then of
replace
course
it.
going to the liquor stores. You have to have 3 different liquor stores because you don't want any of them thinking that you're an alcoholic.
Right, right.
That's the funny part to me. Is just like how I'll go to appear to the guy at the liquor store to I don't want him to think that I'm an alcoholic.
Yeah, yeah. I can remember walking into a liquor store once, and they called me by name, and it's like, oh, that's not
Ooh.
good. We're on a first name basis.
When you start having small talk
Yeah.
with the guy at the liquor store, yeah, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There
When you're on a
might be
first
a
name
problem.
basis.
Yeah. When they know what you like, and they're like, oh yeah, hey, we just got a new case of whatever in.
Right.
Oh
That's funny.
yeah, not good, not good. So then obviously you went to rehab, you got cleaned up, and then how
Shout
did
out Summer Sky in lovely Stephenville, Texas.
and so then how do we transition to RSPS recovery podcast host? Where how do we get to that point?
I got out, and then when you're a noob, how excited you are to be sober and be out of that prison. I mean, at least for me, it was. And then my sister was actually doing a podcast at a studio called Studio X, which is in Frisco, Texas. And I was like, "Hey, somebody should do you know, a recovery podcast." And I was like, "How about me?" And
Hmm.
so I had a free place to shoot, and so I was like, "Oh, I'll start doing that." And then, as far as the RSPS goes, it was just something you wanted to do to give back, so you could. It's actually a state license that you get, and it's actually Medicaid billable and all that kind of stuff. But it was just something that I wanted to do to be able to give back and to be properly trained as a quote unquote recovery coach. So these were all things that I wanted to do to help destigmatize and to help others and with whatever little bit of maybe fame I have, if I can use that to maybe help somebody else out, that was what it was all about for me. And if somebody that was successful um, as I was can have a problem, anybody can have a problem. And it just felt like the right thing to do. It was just the right thing to do for me, and God put it in my heart, and just all I had to do was just follow that voice in my head.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's an important thing to mention. And I mean, I think we all kind of know it because we see celebrities going to rehab, and but addiction doesn't discriminate. It can happen to anybody, and there's just it doesn't matter where you come from, what your background is, how
Well,
rich
like
and
I say,
famous you
like
have.
some of my best friends now in recovery are heroin addicts, which
Hmm.
I'm like, I would totally not think so, and I would go, oh well, heroin people, yeah, they shoot up, and I'm like, they're some of my best friends.
Yeah, yeah, you never know.
Mm.
Well, I'd love if you could tell us a little bit more about the podcast. If people that are watching are interested in finding out more, maybe you could kind of tell us what it's about, when you air. Just kind of give us the breakdown on that, maybe the name
Okay.
as well.
Yeah, I mean, we air every Friday, and I'm on Anchor. So that's an aggregate that actually puts it out to all the major streaming platforms. And then I also do a YouTube channel. And if you just go to thispinkcloud.com, it will take you there. And obviously, please subscribe. Trying to get to that 700 mark. Oh, yeah. And I think I sent you the QR code too,
You did,
just in
yeah.
case somebody's old school and on. There we go. The Mickey Mouse hands.
Nice.
But yeah, so I like I said, I'm a fan of the 12 steps and the rooms, but I don't think that's necessarily a fit for everybody. And I just wanted to be that voice of, hey, you can do all these other things, and it's all leads to a pathway to recovery potentially for that person. And so I do a multiple pathway type of show. So, for example, I've had people on that talk about ketamine infusion therapy. I've had a show where I talked about ayahuasca, and it's not just psychedelics that I talk about. It's cognitive behavioral therapy. It's any avenue that works for you. Like tomorrow, I'm actually I'm filming an episode for these guys with the Men of Nehemiah, which is a faith-based outreach with a little military vibe to it. So it's just any kind of avenue, or even like I'm sure Brett, you're probably familiar with Austin Street Shelter. So
Yeah.
I'll have somebody on from there, or I'll have somebody on from the 24-hour club. Or I'll just have a mom that's in recovery that works for the Phoenix, which is an outreach program, which is a sober active community. So, it's funny because I never run out of guests, or so far. It's just,
And you never will.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I can't remember what the stats are. I wish Ashley was on here to tell us, but she has a stat on how many people there are in recovery, and it's millions. But I
Yeah,
can't tell you exactly how many off the top of my head. She's the one that's good with all of her numbers
the
and stuff.
stats.
Yeah.
I think it's like 23 million people.
Jason, the important question is, have you eaten?
No,
has your pizza arrived?
it has arrived.
Oh, there we go. There we
Yep.
go.
And I had to fight the dogs off.
Yeah,
They
I
want-
muted you because we could hear them a little bit.
They wanted some. I said no.
The old pepperoni.
Dude, that's funny. It's funny you said that, because this one time my sponsor and his wife were on like a holiday, a Christmas like group video chat thing, and I think she had a few, and then she grabbed I don't think she realized it, but she had the dog treats by her, and she popped a pepperoni in her mouth, and then everybody got quiet, and they're all like looking at each other and stuff, and she's never lived it down. We always give her shit.
Oh, that's funny.
We're always like, hey, are those for you or are those for the dog? You know, we just say stupid shit. It's fun.
Right on. Well, so Jason, while you're on, let's hear about, because I mean, maybe some people that are tuning in from my audience, what's the show you do?
It's the Way Out podcast.
Okay.
And we got 319 episodes currently published. To your point, never run out of guests, never run out of things to talk about or to learn about. And we really try to hit it from every angle you can imagine. You know, we try to welcome all different types of voices, whether it's, different pathways to recovery, or if it's from the family side or from the justice side, or, the legislative side.
Mm-hmm.
Like we've had interviews with so many amazing people from all different walks of life that just really broaden my horizons and my.
All right, give me one. Give me one of the top 10.
Okay, well, this is personal.
Oh, I think I know.
Favorite.
I think I know the answer to this one.
But so when I was looking at 111 months in prison for my meth bust that I got caught with, it was a scary time, and I was pretty much totally fully expecting to go to prison. I was already looking into what kind of programs they had. I was going to try to make it as much of like a positive, like learning opportunity as I could. And I was all ready. And but I had been hitting it hard with the recovery, and I had met a lot of people in the rooms, and a lot of people wrote letters on my behalf. And most of those letters were from people that I never would have guessed would have did it. So on my sentencing date, after a year and a half of court dates, that judge came out like 20 minutes late. She had us all waiting forever. And I was like, what is going on? And she came out and she had a fist full of letters and tears in her eyes. And she was like, Mr. Dean, I'm not going to lock you up with all the good that you're doing in the community. These letters are powerful. And she was like, so I'm going to throw you a lifeline here. And so she gave me a pretty unique sentences, it was a downward departure, but it's only contingent if I like complete all of my sentencing without any, like same or similars or whatever, any violations. And I mean, I got sentenced to like 20 years probation with all that time over my head. And I think I'm like 5 years and some change into that sentence now. A year into it, not even a year into it, I had met all of the things that, or I did all the things that I had to do, like I checked all the boxes and stuff pretty quickly. But yeah, it was like cool because then a guy who does Tragedy to Triumph, Aaron Lane is his name. It's another podcast, Tragedy to Triumph. He had the judge from his drug court on, and I listened to that episode and I was like inspired. And I'm like, I wonder what Judge Street would say if I asked her to be on my podcast. And she said yes. So there's an episode, it's called I Believe in You with Judge Diana Street.
Wow.
And we got to talk about the things surrounding my case, but then it was cool too because we talked a lot just about her job and her life. Like I got to learn about her life coming up as a kid, and like, how did you become a judge? Like, how does that even happen? And and then to hear about just the day in and day out of the life of a judge, it was a super cool opportunity to be able to learn all about her and get to know her better. So
I'm gonna have to go back and watch it.
Yeah, it was super kick-ass, dude.
Well, let's throw it around the room, Brett. Besides me being on your show, and
yeah, that was the best.
obviously, Kelly's was my favorite episode. Obviously, I'm gonna have to go the sentimental route too, as Jason did. So there's an episode that I did probably about a year and a half ago, where I interviewed my wife and we discussed what it's like to be married to someone in recovery, because she's a normie. I would say that's probably one of my favorite episodes, just to hear some of the questions, because I feel like she got kind of vulnerable and talked about having those thoughts of like some worry about what if I go back out, or because we met after I was in recovery, so she's never seen me in active
she's
use.
never right. Yeah,
so she's heard stories, and she listens to, I don't think she listens to all of my episodes, but she's listened to some, and she has an idea of what it's like, but she's never seen it firsthand. So I know that there's definitely some anxiety there, that she worries about, like what happens if I go back out and that kind of stuff. And then just talking about seeing some of the patterns in my life, being able to see still some of those addictive tendencies, as far as like getting hyper focused on things and like picking up hobbies, and
taking apart that VCR.
Yeah, just all that kind of stuff, man. Like I still have those tendencies to just like hyper focus on different hobbies and pastimes and stuff. So I think that was probably one of my favorite episodes. Right. What about you, Kelly?
Yeah.
To be honest, I was trying to think if I just had one, and I can't really nail it. But what I really do appreciate about the podcast is I'll put a podcast out there, and it'll be, just somebody random from some walk of life, and then I will think to myself, I'll go, nobody's listening to this. Nobody heard that. And then I'll hear, like, I'll get a DM like 3 weeks later, and somebody will go, oh, that episode with that so-and-so on it. And I was like, oh, wow, somebody's actually listening, man. So to me, it's just, I don't know. I would love to do that idea, is have my wife on, because we would have to definitely do some post production on it.
No, man, I think it's better for I like with the episode I did with my wife. I did very little editing. Like, I basically just kind of cleaned up the audio, and obviously there were like some moments where she like paused to think about what her answers were and stuff. So I just kind of like cleaned it up and made it a little bit more cohesive. But I think it's good just to have that kind of raw, real emotion, like real reaction to questions. Because I before we did it, like, I sat down and I gave it some thought and like put some questions on a piece of paper, and I didn't show her what my questions were going to be, because I wanted that genuine reaction of like what she thought, what she felt. Like,
sure, you didn't want to have it scripted.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, that's how I do all my episodes, though. Like, I don't really do a lot of prep work as far as like wanting to re-record segments and stuff. Like, I want it to be real and raw and vulnerable, so that's kind of what I go for.
Right.
Totally.
And it's way better production value than my podcast.
Oh, thanks, man.
Oh, man. But okay, so I have a fun game that I like to do on my podcast every once in a while. I like to throw this out there. Okay, and you guys can
Do we
use
need
this.
some music or anything?
No, it's just a fun. It's just a fun question to ask. Like at the end of the podcast, I'll go, okay, so if you could be God, right, or you could be your higher power, what one thing would you change? Go. Did everybody fall asleep?
No, I'm still here. I'm thinking.
It's a hard one, right? It's like,
it is.
It's a good one. Well, if y'all need time to think, well, no, I'm not gonna give my answer, because I already have mine. So, but I got to pre-think about it. So I don't want to.
We got an answer.
Yours.
Tiff in the comments answered her answer for the question.
Okay, there would be no wars. I like that. I mean, there's no wrong answer. There's just an answer that might make you look like an asshole. I'm just kidding.
You saying like a selfish?
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
4-day weekends.
4-day weekends. There you go.
Yeah.
I like it.
But I still want to make the same amount of money.
Well, dude, I think they have that in the UK. Well, but you might have a traveling problem.
Damn it!
Your visa might be.
Yeah, I don't have a passport, and I don't think they would give me one.
Right.
Not yet, anyway.
That's a tough question. I don't even know which route to go, because I feel like there's so many ways that you can
there
go with
is.
That.
Dude, my first thought was like of Miss America pageants when they go,
world
I
peace.
would wish for world peace.
Yay.
Yeah.
That's kind of where my mind went. And then it was like, oh, in world hunger, like all these big things. I'm like, I don't know what it would be, man. That's a tough question.
I'll give you some more time to think. But for me, it would be simple. It would be to have a greater understanding of your purpose. So for humankind to have a greater understanding of what their purpose is, because that's really what we're all trying to figure out, I think. And now, Brett, this is where you use your beard to your advantage. You use it to think. Yes.
Red beard.
Oh man, I'm
Burl
still
Lives.
trying to think of my answer though.
Well, you can come back to it. We don't have to.
Yeah.
We don't have to derail the show for it. But it's fun to do, right? It's fun food for thought.
We get squirreled out on this show a lot. Random squirrel moments.
Gotcha.
It's good. Ding, ding,
Ding, ding, ding.
Should we open up the phone line, see if anybody wants to call in?
I would love to.
Yeah.
Do a little live phone action.
There we go. Is that your personal number?
That is a Google Voice number.
So don't call Brett up late at night and ask him what he's wearing.
I put it on Do Not Disturb when we're not doing the show. So
Oh, there we go.
Call away. I literally will not see or hear it. So
right.
Nice.
You'll just, when you log in, you'll be like, oh, there's voicemails.
Exactly. And that might be a good way for people to like call the show and leave messages like you were talking about on the way out. Like,
yeah, that's what
cool.
exactly we did. We have that voicemail line. And it's funny because no matter how explicitly we tell people it's a voicemail line, they still think they can like call in live. So they want to know like, what time is it at? Like, what's the window of opportunity when I can call? I'm like, you can call whenever you want. And you have 3 minutes to talk. And if it cuts you off, just call back and leave another 3 minute. We had to play a couple voicemails in a row for some people for sure. Where's our callers at?
Can't believe Carl hasn't called in yet.
Yeah, right. Carl
on a hot date.
He was on there. He was in the comments earlier.
I know.
Well, so like Jason, what do you find yourself? Because it sounds like you have a really, a super accountability built in to your program with the sentence hanging over your head. But do you feel like, is there ever a point where you, ooh, man, maybe I can get away with one?
Nah, dude, I'll tell you right now, if that was even on the table, I would have jumped at it and I wouldn't have gave two shits about my probation or time over my head or losing my kid. I got 2 kids that I haven't seen in 22 years or 21 years because of this, my addiction. And did it tear me up inside? Did it make me want to kill myself? Yeah. It made me hate myself, but it didn't stop me. Nothing, no consequence was ever great enough to make me stop. So I'm just very blessed that, I kind of, like you were saying earlier, I took the things that I was hearing in the rooms to heart. I started to finally like follow suggestions. And I think the most important thing I ever learned in my recovery is that I don't know shit. So I started to really value other people's input and follow through with what they said to do, whether it made sense or I liked it or whatever. I didn't care. I was just like, I'm going to try it. And then, wow, it worked, and eventually you do that enough. And then you start to be able to make some pretty sound decisions on your own. And you along the way, you start being of service. And then, through esteemable actions, you start to build self-esteem. And now I guess I have this self-worth today, and I don't miss getting hired.
What would you recommend? Because people always hit me up, but let's go around the room. Like, what would you guys recommend to somebody that says, hey, so-and-so, my son has a problem, my daughter-in-law has a problem. What would you recommend that they do, or course of action to help that person?
Set boundaries.
Yeah. I always tell people it really starts with you. Like, instead of thinking about what you can do to fix this person, you need to start looking at, what do I need to do to make myself be okay in this moment? Because the family gets sick right alongside of the addict. And I can't tell you, dude, how many people have called me up asking me to help their loved one, and they want me to call their loved one and stuff. And I always say, no, you know what? Here's my number. Here's my email.
Yeah.
The ball's in their court. They could, if they reach out to me, I am 100% all in for them. And I will do, if they truly want to help themselves, I will go through
Well, and
hell.
I think you said something key there is that they have to, and I always tell people this, I go, you cannot make somebody want sobriety.
Right.
You can't make somebody want it. They have to want it for themselves. And I can't make them do that.
Yeah, I've maybe once or twice actually had the person call me.
Yeah.
Even though they knew I was expecting their call and that I was excited to hear from them. I was looking forward to meeting them, that there was going to be no judgment and all that. It's important to know what's yours and what's not yours to carry. And I can't carry the addict, man. I can't. So, I got my own life problems and shit. Sure. Just like anybody, I got to carry my own stuff. So it's huge. It's huge to be available, and not, sometimes service is self-sacrificial. Sometimes service is when it's not convenient, and to be willing to show up for people in that way is what's important most above anything else. I think because anybody that calls me baffled, I think if they really wanted help, it's not hard to find. It's not, maybe in some areas, I know there's certain situations where there's areas that don't have a lot of resources available, but like around here in Minnesota, it's the land of 10,000 treatment centers. You know what I mean? You never heard that one before?
Well, I'm from Dallas.
Use it with your friends. Feel free. Yeah, so if they really wanted it, then they wouldn't have to try too hard in order to find help.
Yeah,
and that's a thing that gets me sometimes. It's
right.
like I could sit there in literally 3 minutes, and even if I'm not from your area, a little bit of Google foo, and I can pretty much do some scrolling, and I can figure out what's a credible place and what's not. By looking through the comments, by checking, and it doesn't take much digging to figure out what's
to be a resource broker.
Yeah, and then I'm like, boom.
Yeah.
I can send you all the links, and if I can do that in less than 5 minutes, then I don't even understand why you're calling me asking me. When I'm from the other side of the country, but I'm still willing to do that for people. If that's
yeah, for sure.
I agree with what Jason said. I don't know what else to really add to that. I mean, like you said, we have to be at that point in our own lives where we know that we have a problem, and we have to make that first move. We have to reach out for that help. We can't force anyone to get clean or sober. Like, it starts with the person.
Agreed.
You got to want it for yourself, not for your kids, not for your job, not for your wife, not for your husband. I mean, nothing, not for the courts. I mean, that shit is good. That shit can get somebody in the room, and they're going to be closed off and probably half in and out, not really paying much attention, but maybe they'll hear something. Maybe a seed will be planted, because there's always hope for that, somebody, and that shit will grow. It might not grow today, but down the road, that seed will grow. I really have faith and hope in that. I always do. Like, I never give up on anybody.
Right on.
You just can't. I know a couple people today that have years clean, and they're doing so much good for the community. And at one time, they were in and out of the room so much that a lot of people in the rooms were pretty much like done with them. Like, whatever.
Right.
Nah, man, you can't give up on people.
Yeah. It was just like, I think I was definitely felt like I was pushing my luck going to AA meetings, because I was I was unable to do it by myself under my own supervision, you know?
I'm gonna mute myself.
Oh, the joys of doing a live show, man.
Yeah, there we go. Was that somebody's phone?
I
Was that a
think that was his
ringtone?
phone.
Was
I
that
don't
your
know.
ringtone? Was that like Gunsmoke or something? What was
No,
the
it's the
ringtone?
Godfather, bro.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Oh man.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Mhm.
Great timing. That's one of my sponsees, actually.
There we go. They're
Call
watching
the
you
live
live,
number.
right? Yeah, exactly.
You should
Call
know that I'm on live Thursday night.
Call the number on your screen, Sponsee.
Yeah, what the hell?
Talk to all three of us.
Bastard.
That's right. Yeah, we've got a real brain trust here of well, as far as the alcohol, and then were you Jason, were you a shadow people like Brett?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was no joke.
Yeah, I got
Shit got really weird.
you.
It sure did.
Yes.
Funny.
What am I doing? You know, I never even shared our live to my
I
page.
should. Yeah, I was just thinking about that. I should have.
That's
shared.
whack, right? Like
Yeah.
I should be sharing our lives.
Yeah.
That's JR's job. Where's he at?
Oh, he couldn't make it. He had something come up.
Some sound therapy or a massage or something?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe.
I'm only slightly jealous of him.
Dude, he lives in paradise now, and he's
I know.
got one of those jobs that doesn't even feel like work. It's awesome. That's really awesome. I'm happy for him.
Fill me in. I do not know this person.
Oh, he's the creator of Recovery Revolution.
Oh, okay, cool.
The page has like what 240,000 people on it or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Something crazy. And then, you know, he wrote a book, The Addiction Manifesto. Boom. Right there.
Nice. Okay.
And that book is blown up. I mean, he's clearly anointed. Like, I don't know if, you know, people listening, you might not believe in God, but he isn't. What he's done is all been anointed by the hand of God. Like, this isn't, that page doesn't have 240,000 people because JR started the page. But he was the catalyst, you know. That book, half of it is like other people's stories from that page, like, you know, short story versions of their stories. And it's a great book. And, you know, the fact that he made it where even the book, it wasn't about him. It was about giving people a platform in which to share their story and their voice.
Right.
And the fucking book has blown up.
For him, man.
A lot of good sales. And yeah, so then he ended up getting offered a job at Costa Rica Recovery. Not that long ago.
I love Costa Rica.
So now he's like a certified peer recovery specialist, but he works with vets because he's a veteran. So, and he's in paradise, dude.
Yeah, Costa Rica is paradise for sure. Shout out Costa Rica.
There's monkeys and shit there.
And the coolest part, like, of Costa Rica, actually, if you ever get a chance to go, the beach is cool, but it's all about like the volcano, the active volcano, and being in the rainforest in the mountains.
Yeah.
Yeah. Completely incredible.
I bet.
Which I was, of course, hammered every day I was there.
So you remember pieces of it. Well, we gotta go there sober.
Yeah.
And like sit in on a AA meeting on the beach with his veteran buddies or something.
I'm in.
And we could be present all together in the moment and sober. It'd be great. I also know another guy out there. He did the Share podcast, SHAIR. Sharing helps addicts in recovery.
Okay.
And Omar Pinto is his name. He's amazing dude. He started his own coaching practice, and now he stopped doing the Share podcast, and now he has like a Omar Pinto coaching podcast or something like that. And he actually gets some of his clients to like agree to do sessions on that show too, so you can actually like get like fly on the wall view.
Right. Well,
like,
that's what I love.
Coaching.
This is a good question for you guys. What, like, I mean, as far as obviously the whole anonymity thing is out the window with us, right?
Right.
So, but what are your thoughts on that? Like, I mean, because a lot of people think it's a conflict of interest, but I mean, to me personally, I think it's cool to. It's not 1939, and my job is not going to be jeopardized by me going public with that information. But I understand if somebody wants to, the anonymity part. But as far as I'm concerned, recovery out loud is my path.
Yeah, recover out loud. He's got the thing.
There you go.
For me, it's different strokes for different folks, and we've actually had a guest or two on the way out that did not want their actual name published on the episode or said in the episode, and they were amazing episodes. It's totally cool with me, man, if you don't want to be tagged in the social media posts or have your name out there. But yeah, it's individual.
But I mean, do you think there is like, as far as us doing podcasts, do you think there's some kind of self-promotion, whereas that goes against the rooms?
Sure, could be, but I think that depends on your heart. And
I agree.
For me, it ain't about me,
Right.
This is trying to reach one and teach one, man. Like, help the newcomers out there. And maybe there's people that have been sober for years that are white knuckling it and they're fucking miserable, man. And they don't even know why they're sober. Maybe I can help somehow those types of people like find spirituality or find some kind of like peace or joy, or like revitalize that shit, get them out of the white knuckle. Because if you're white knuckling, dude, you're doing something wrong. If you're not feeling any joy or peace or serenity, then there's a piece missing somewhere. Let's figure that out.
Well, I like what Tanya just said as far as the stigma, because it does suck that stigma is still out there. And that, I'm not like proud of what I did, but I did it, and I'm not going to be ashamed of what I did because I learned from what I did, and I can pass that knowledge on to other people.
Absolutely. And, some people do have jobs like that, to Tanya's point, where it's like they have to really be careful. And I think it's our responsibility to identify those things before we break somebody's anonymity. It's important to understand the seriousness of that, and that it's different for everybody, and to address those things, and otherwise to just proceed with discretion until told otherwise. Like, I'm never gonna assume that I can blast your name out there and pump your shit up unless you ask me to do it, then it's a different thing. And then if you're asking me and asking me and asking me because I didn't fucking jump right on it, dude, well, guess what? I have a job, dude. And then maybe I might think that you're trying to do some self-promotion. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Right.
Weird.
Yeah. I mean, I'm in the same boat as you. Well, kind of. So I had one guest that asked to be anonymous, and I did the whole episode, cut out her name and didn't say her name in like the intro and everything. And then like the day after it aired, she's like, "No, I'm fine with using my name." So then like I changed.
Too late.
So then like I
Too
put her name
Becky.
in the
Too late, Becky.
I put her name in the episode title, but then like the intro, I'm talking about today's guest wants to be anonymous, and then I have my dad calling me. He's like, "You put her name on the show. In the intro, you said it was anonymous." I was like, "Well, she messaged back, and I just didn't re-record the intro because it was already been out for a day." Like,
Right. Yeah.
But to the anonymity, like the personal anonymity thing, and this might just be my own understanding, but when I'm on a podcast or I'm on the live stream, like I don't ever say what program I'm a part of.
Yeah.
Like I don't ever endorse a specific recovery pathway. And I don't know. I guess like Jason said, every situation is different, but like my employer knows that I'm in recovery. I kind of messed up in the job interview. He asked something about, he was asking like what some of my hobbies were. And I was like, oh, I do a podcast, this and that. And he's like, oh, I'm a huge podcast fan. What's your podcast? And I was like, oh, well, I guess I got to tell him now. Cause then I can be like, well, it's a secret.
Yeah. You can't know.
I can't tell you that.
Might jeopardize.
And then he went and found my episode where I shared my story.
And, shit.
And then like at my final interview, he brought it up. He's like, I listened to your story. I was like, oh
shit.
And he's like, and by the way, you're hired. It's like, okay, cool. Now we can talk about it.
Right.
You know, when you started talking, Brett, and you were saying like he asked what some of your hobbies were, I thought you were going to say you responded, oh, you know, I used to smoke meth or something like that.
No, his hobbies are taking apart VCRs.
Yeah.
Late at night.
Yeah.
Fucking VCRs. You know, I just put some stuff in storage the other day, and I had one of the things was a
send it to Brett, man.
Forehead VCR and a couple boxes of really kick-ass movies that are on VHS. I was like,
converting to digital, man.
Fucking dude. No, I will not do that, Brett.
Come on.
I'm just kidding. It's probably smart, actually, because they're good movies. Otherwise, you just go buy them again. I don't know. It probably costs money to convert to digital, too. So,
and they're probably already out there.
Man.
Chances are.
Yeah. Well. Nobody wants to call us.
I guess not, man. I guess not. Not even Carl, who was watching, and he told me earlier that he was going to call in and talk to Kelly. And now he's radio silent. I texted him too, and he hasn't even opened my text.
Wow.
What a friend.
Well, he might
throw him under the bus.
He might be enjoying another's company.
Yeah, he did mention that he was on a date. So
yeah,
probably not great. He'd be like, hey, give me just a minute. I'm going to step out and call this live stream on Facebook.
Right?
That's funny.
But I
got to make
his
a call.
priorities are. I see where his priorities are. How long have you known this person, Carl? Like 3 days? Come on.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me on, man. And then like I said, anytime I can hop on and be of service, I'd be more than happy to.
Absolutely, man. And
awesome,
again,
man.
Oh yeah, the plug.
This pink cloud. This not the.
Yeah, it's funny because I was gonna go for but then that URL was already taken. So I was like, well, pink cloud was taken, and then I started thinking of all the other, and I was like, this pink cloud. I was like, yeah, I like it. What is it that you say about this pink cloud?
I dig it, man. I dig it.
Hell yeah.
And now I'm going to play the outro music that Jason was talking about.
Oh, there we go.
I don't think it's bad. I like it. Thank you, everybody that tuned in tonight. If you are watching us on YouTube, please be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Turn on your notifications so you know when we go live. And in case you guys haven't already figured it out, it's every Thursday night. Jason, you have a podcast, don't you?
Yep, it's called the Way Out Podcast. It's available on all streaming platforms. We share personal, powerful recovery stories and sometimes have episodes where we unpack powerful recovery power topics to help you find or revitalize your own recovery.
Nice. And then I also have my own podcast as well, Recovery Survey. I release an episode every Wednesday. A little bit of a shorter form, usually about 30 minutes or so, little bite-sized pieces of recovery, different recovery topics, modalities, all kinds of different stuff. And not just drug addiction. I've done some episodes on pornography addiction, food addiction, gambling addiction, you name it. I feel like I've talked to somebody about it, and I got some more of those coming up. I got a few people scheduled for some gambling and some sex addiction and some other topics. So be sure to subscribe to that as well. You can find it on all your major podcast
All right,
players.
Brett, while you got it up there, dude, what the hell's going on with your logo?
That's a phoenix.
Is that a phoenix? But it looks like it has multiple eyes and
those are
like
feathers.
Peacock kind of thing.
It's trippy, dude.
Yeah, I know.
Thanks, man. I like it.
Yeah.
I love my shirt.
Oh, thanks.
It's badass. It's a real head
it,
turner, bro.
I appreciate it, man. That is the second rendition of my logo. The
Did
original
you design it?
I did.
Nice, dude. Look at
Thanks,
that.
man.
Wow.
Yeah.
A skill set we didn't know you had.
You drew that shit?
Well, I didn't draw the actual phoenix. No, I didn't draw that.
But you did the
I put it all together.
rendering of it, right?
Yes.
It's still dope.
The digital rendering.
Correct.
That's
That is
very
not
good.
the. That's not exactly what it looked like when I got that image.
Cool.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah.
I like to dabble, you know. Do a little graphic design here and there. I'm not the best at it, but you know, it's a fun little hobby. I kind of dabble in all kinds of stuff, man. Awesome. Well, we appreciate everybody that tuned in tonight. And then we stay tuned on the Facebook page because we're not sure exactly what we're going to be doing next week, since next Thursday is Thanksgiving. I don't know if we're going to try to do it on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving or the Friday after Thanksgiving. We're still trying to figure that out, and we should probably also talk to our guest and see what her availability is. I did see her in the comments earlier on YouTube, so we'll be in contact with her in the next couple days, and I'm sure we'll make some posts on social media letting you guys know what the plan is for that, because we're going to take Thursday off, spend time with family and friends, and not be doing the live stream. So probably one of those 2 days, either Wednesday or Friday, but keep an eye out. We will post on social media to let you guys know. And we'll be back next week. Remember, guys, progress, not perfection. Thank you again, Kelly, for coming on, man.
Thanks. Hey, thanks for having me on. And Jason, I'll hit you up on I'll stalk you on social media. And,
Hell yeah.
And follow all your pages.
That's what I'm talking about, and I will do the same.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, guys.
It was great. Noise!
All right, good night, everybody.
Night.
Take care.